Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. I want to just let you know that it might not be time to put your pillow forts away yet. You might want to still lay low and practice taking some nice long deep breaths because the emotional turbulence that some of you may have been experiencing over the last few weeks is not yet going to be subsiding. So I want to start this week first with an exploration of the nodes because we haven't looked at the nodes in a while, and they present a very interesting sort of framework, if you will, within which we are exploring the nature of our relationships, the contracts we have with each other, and how our relationship agreements are impacting our experience of our value and our values in the world. So the south node right now is in the gate 5, moving into the north node in the gate 35. The gate 5 is called the gate of consistency in quantum human design. The gate 35 is called the gate of experience. These nodal energies are basically holding, as I said, the structural framework within which we are doing our evolutionary growth right now. And we are really exploring in great depth the patterns that we have. This gate 5 is inviting us to look at, are the patterns we are fulfilling, living in, expressing from, creating with, are the habits, if you will, if the habits we have are supporting us in creating what we really want in the world. Of course, this is a really dodgy topic for a lot of us because sometimes being habituated for some of us isn't our most natural state. And so we're really having to get serious in our own personal exploration as to whether the way in which we consistently show up for our life is creating the experiences that we want to be having. And if they're not, this energy certainly gives us an extra oomph, if you will, to supporting us in really cultivating and crafting a new pattern, new habits, having a breakthrough, if you will, from our old patterns and into a new pattern that supports changing and shifting our experience of the material world. That's good because we have some really intense change bringing energy, emotional energy happening on the outer planet front, particularly if we look at the position of Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn right now is bringing us lessons in intimacy, is inviting us to explore our emotional attunement to each other and to ourselves, and inviting us to ask ourselves the question, are our relationships reflecting our value and our values? And of course, with that in the context of looking at our habits and our experiences, are our relationships reflecting the habits, if you will, that cultivate intimacy and high frequency relationships? This is, of course, in the context of all of your relationships with your children, your parents, your lovers, your friends, your business partnerships, even our relationships on a more collective level, looking at the agreements that we have with our legislature and with the laws and rules that we are creating. We are really exploring if the agreements we have are sustainable and if they really do reflect not only our value, but our values. And because we've been in this ginormous cycle of disruption that has caused us to maybe reevaluate our values and our value, these relationship realignments, if you will, or renegotiations of our contracts are inviting us to make sure that we have habits in our partnerships, our relationships, in the way in which we are together. We are consistently showing up and being shown up for in a supportive way, in a way that allows us to cultivate the full expression of our value in the world. Now, here's where the big, interesting adventure begins. With Jupiter in the 49, the gate of the catalyst, this is a very intense configuration that if you're not careful, because it's emotional and potentially reactive, it's an energy that can kind of cause you to blow things up, if you will. We're sensitive. We're feeling things. That dialed in feeling of sensitivity is giving us the signals as to whether we're aligned or not in our relationships. And if we're not, the tendency with this 49 energy at play is to sort of go, screw it, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and to walk away, to burn the bridges. And while there are times when perhaps that's necessary and important, It can also be a time when instead of renegotiating, we blow things up and then we can't repair that bridge anymore. We can't cross over and make that connection because we've done too much damage. So it certainly is a time for us to really be mindful of how are we talking to each other? How are we connecting to each other? How are we being intimate with one another? And to really take a breath, if you will, before you speak. Take a breath and really feel into the higher intentions that maybe you've set for your partnerships or your relationships, and make sure that you are creating from a place of enduring love. Be kind, be loving, even if you're going to take a relationship apart and walk away from it to the best of your ability. Do it with the idea that you are staying aligned with right action and from a place of love. There's a lot, this is a dodgy energy. I'm not going to pull any punches on you. It is pretty intense, and it certainly can make things feel really potentially inflammatory and explosive if we're not careful. And certainly, the fallout from being reactive rather than being deliberate and exploring with great consciousness, how can I craft this partnership in such a way that it is a reflection of my value, my partner's value, and the values that we uphold together? Where can we, in that Venn diagram of our togetherness, find that sliver where we have commonality and create from what is working rather than destroying what you think doesn't work? That's my big red flag for this week, to really guard your tongue, speak kindly, take a breath before you respond, and know that all of this energy is essential. It's a really beautiful thing because ultimately we are crafting more genuine, more honest, more aligned partnerships, and this realignment, if you will, only serves our greater good over time. This is also, just a quick side note, a really great time to explore. I think I said this last week, a really good time to explore your relationship between yourself and the natural world. Are you getting outside enough? Do you have enough connections with nature and the rhythms of nature? It certainly is an energy that can call in a lot of elemental energy for healing's sake. It certainly is also a time for you to explore the habits, that's that 5 energy, the habits that you might have around food and eating, and making is a good time for you to, if you need to, make some lifestyle choices or changes in the way in which you eat and the habits that you have around your health and wellness, so that you have more of your heart and soul and self available to be in partnership with others. So be mindful of not being burned out, and be mindful of self-care and restoration and regeneration, and be mindful of taking care of your body so that you can continue to really show up fully in all of your relationships. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it this week. It's short and sweet. Be kind. Take a breath before you say something. Take good care of yourself. Cultivate patterns and habits that support you in fully manifesting the true value of who you are and the things that you hold dear. And do that in every arena of your life. And have a fantastic week. And don't forget, if you need to, it's okay to hide under your desk with some wine and some chocolate if you need it. Have a good week.